Natalia, your stream is live now, and you're the host now.
I,
And you can also make me your co-host as well.
yeah, I will do that now. Make co-host. There you go.
And should I let the learners in for you?
Yeah, sure. That's fine. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, welcome, Madhu. Oh, did I get that wrong? And Janet. All right.
Right.
I'm sorry. Were you saying something, Madhu? Someone there is saying something. I think you've got a bit of noise in the background. That's fine. Okay, lovely to see you. Janet is coming in. There we are. Okay, you've moved in a lot closer all of a sudden. So, all right, Janet, I think you're also in. So, nice and early. Oh, if you are willing to, did you want to pop in the chat box where you are today? This is morning for me as I'm in Australia. So where are you? Oh, no, Janet's trying to come into audio. Oh, okay, here comes Carol Sue. No doubt we'll have a little bit of a chat about the weather. Okay. And from Ottawa, Canada. All right.
Good morning, Natalie.
Warm there. Morning, Carol Sue. I was just saying to Madhu, we like have a chat about the weather when Carol Sue comes in. Madhu's in Ottawa in Canada. All right. I'm thinking it must be warm because she's wearing a tank top, sleeveless. All right. I did a check for you, Carol Sue. It's hot weather. Well, I'm jealous. It's 12.
It's 12? Oh,
Again.
geez. That's too cold.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold, but we had a lovely weekend. Oh no, yesterday was kind of average, but that's okay. Saturday, the sun was out. We're wandering around thinking it's hot. Okay, 33 Celsius. Oh, I'm so jealous.
It was 95 we're in the middle of a heat wave. It was 95 for the past 2 days.
Wow. Totally jealous. I'd love that because that's high 30s, I think, isn't it? So yeah. Oh,
it sure is.
Yeah, that's my kind of weather, Carol Sue. Absolutely. Yeah, Madhu, I'm jealous. Absolutely. Yeah, I could be doing that. But, we've got to get through winter. If we didn't have winter, I wouldn't appreciate the summer so much. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. All right. But
we have very bad winters.
Yes, I think you do. My partner in the past when we were allowed to travel was like, let's go to Canada, let's go skiing in Canada. I'm like, no, it's too cold. He loves it, but I haven't been. But we go to Japan, and I mean it's cold in Japan in winter, very, very cold. So yeah, I kind of have an idea, but I don't think it's as cold as Canada. Somehow you get down to like minus 20, 30, don't you? Something like that.
Some days.
Yeah, I can't imagine. We were in Korea once and it was minus 24 and I had to literally sit on top of a heater. I was so cold. I couldn't be dealing with it. It was like the worst experience of my life. So I don't know how you live through a whole winter like that. It's like, yeah. It's crazy, but anyway, you get used to anywhere that you are, don't you? All right, so I should stop talking about my weather and my likes and dislikes. I want to welcome everybody else that's come in since I was chatting about that. So welcome to Janet and Pam and Linda, Twee, welcome back. Somebody on the iPad, welcome. Beverly, Madge, Rashmi, William, Alma, welcome back. Denise, welcome back. And Doris also. Welcome back. All right, so I think for a lot of you it might be in the evening sometime. We're just waiting for a couple more to come in. It is the morning for me. It is 10 a.m. where I am. Okay, Lynn, you're in now. Welcome, and Katie as well. All right, let's get this show on the road. I'm going to just share my slides so you can see the Make sure that you're in the right class. Oh, this is not your supple spine. I don't know what I did there. All right, it is hips don't lie. Here we go. So something I've done wrong on my end, but that's all right. This is the hips don't lie class. So let's just hope that this was the class that you signed up for, that you're wanting to come into. It's all about moving around our hips. So if you haven't done a class with me before, they're simple moves. They may not be easy, but they're relatively simple. And yeah, hopefully I'll give you an option that you're able to do in your own body, right? If you feel a little bit challenged for some of them, don't worry too much. I'll try and give you a different option, or just rest it out. We won't be taking too long in any one move that we're doing, or hold or stretch or whatever it is that we're doing around the hips. Now, I think there we go. Now I'm back on track. Again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Natalie. Natalie W. There's two of us over here in Melbourne, Australia. It is the morning. All right, Monday morning right here. So we're ahead of you, a lot of you, time-wise that is, not in anything else. I've been teaching some form of movement since 2001. That started with a yoga teacher training. And I was really interested in the body and how it moves. So I'm one of those why people. I need to know. So over the years, I have done so many workshops, and I really love sharing what I've learned in all of those workshops and trainings with other people, which is why I'm here sharing this class with you today. Right, so my aim is to help you get strong and healthy and help you move independently throughout the rest of your life, right? It's very important to keep the movements going in our bodies, also to try different movements and to move in different ways. And that way we're able to move in different ways. And what we do physically also affects us mentally. And if we do the same thing over and over and over again, we can get stuck in a little rut, and it's difficult to move out of there. So that principle can work not just with the body, but also with the mind. But I'm here for the body movements. All right. Some housekeeping from Get Set Up. So we do learn from each other. Ideally, in an ideal world, you'd have your camera turned on so we can see what each other are doing, get some tips and some tricks from other people. But if that is not okay, if you prefer to have your camera off, that's also fine. If you enjoy the class today, you're more than welcome to request a recording. All you need to do is email help@getsetup.io and somebody will send that out to you. Just let them know which particular class it is that you want the recording of. Right, this class is being live streamed, so it's great. You can be watching us on TV, but the best way to join the class is to actually register for it and participate that way. If you are registered and you're joining us live in that way, you're welcome to ask some questions along the way. So I'm quite happy for you to unmute yourself and you can ask me the question that way. Or if you prefer to type a question into the chat box, that's also fine. And Todd, who is our technical assistant for this class today, he will let me know that that question is there. Todd is also here for any technical difficulties or issues that you might have. So once again, just type those in the chat box and he'll help you out with those as best he can. So Get Set Up are not paid to promote any specific product, so I won't be selling anything to you while we're here, which is always a bonus. Finally, if you're new to any exercise program, please check with your doctor prior to starting it. I am a movement professional. I do not dispense medical advice, nor do I know any medical advice. So please check with a doctor or a physical therapist. And if they give you or they have given you some advice contrary to what I'm letting you know about, please follow their advice first. That's it for my housekeeping. All right, so once again, if we have any questions before we begin, let me know. Oh, props, simple props today. All I'm using is, oh, and I didn't bring something different, is what I call a half dome. Most people don't have one of these at home, so all you need to do is roll off a towel. Sorry, I'll just grab something here. I've got like a little fleece blanket that is just rolled up into a little roll. You can use that. A lot of the class will be done on a mat on the floor. I don't have a mat. I'll just go straight down onto the floor. I'm not worried about a mat, but I will give some options to be doing everything on a chair as well. So if you're not comfortable getting yourself down onto the floor, you can use a chair instead. We will be standing. It would be good if everybody who's participating today has a chair or something else that they can hold on to. Let me just pop myself on the big screen so you can see a little bit better. There we go. Right. So I have this chair here. So if you have something similar, something without any arms would be better. If it has arms on it, that's okay as well. If you don't have a chair handy, I've just got like some cupboards here. I could hold on to those as well. So something that you might wish to hold on to. I'm actually going to turn this one around, right? So again, starting off, we will be standing. So come on up to standing if you're not already standing. And if that is not an option at all, follow along as best you can from a seated position. But ideally, we will be standing to start off with. I'll just give you a moment to get on up from wherever you are. And again, can I just remind you, please, ask any questions. Sometimes I miss out things that seem obvious to me, but they're not obvious, particularly if it is your first time with me. So do not hesitate to let me know that something is not clear. All right, but here we are, we're up. Let's just find our hips. If you get your hands onto your pelvis and just sort of move them around, move your fingertips around to the front of your pelvis, you'll feel some bones. They might be underneath some covering, which is what I have here. It's getting harder and harder to find those bones these days. So the bones at the front of your pelvis, a lot of us refer to these as our hip bones. And just to make it easy, we'll call them our hip bones. If you move your fingers inside towards each other from those bones, that's where your hips actually are, where your thigh bones meet your pelvis. So let's see if we can move around here a little bit. Maybe make some circular motions. Can your pelvis and your hips move around? What kind of movement can you make? And what does that feel like, most importantly? Right? You are the expert in your body. Right? So if something is not feeling okay, maybe you make a smaller move. I'm going to change directions. Maybe you give this one a miss. Not just this particular exercise, anything that we're doing. So here's like a circular motion, kind of like a little bit of hula hooping. One more of these. I'm just going to try and go forwards and backwards. So if I go forward with my hip bones and my tail lifts up, that's a forward pelvis motion. If I go backwards, right, my pubic bone comes towards my belly button, my hip bones go back, that's what we call backwards, right, or posterior tilt. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. You do not need to know those names or remember them. We just want to move the pelvis forward and backwards, right? Now, again, these are simple moves, but they may not be easy for you right now. They may be super easy, right? Anywhere in the spectrum. It's all perfect. Let's do 2 more of these. And then from there, we're going to lift our heels on up, keep the pelvis still, and lower them slowly back down if we can, right? Lift on up. Now, this is a foot ankle movement too, but everything we do in our feet and ankles will directly affect right up into our legs, our hips, right, the whole of our body. Let's come on up. You might drop down quickly. Here is where you might want to hold onto a chair or a wall or something else that you have nearby. All right. None of these are real balance exercises. I'll save them for my balance class in a couple of days. Let's do, say 3 more of these. Lift and lower as slowly as you can, right? It might be dropping right down. 2 and lower, and last one and lower all the way down. All right, from there, again, this is going to be on a one-legged movement, right? Bit of balance, so you might want to hold on. Lift 1 foot up. You're going to bring your knee towards your chest. It can be up high, it can be down low. Lower it down. Switch legs, lift your other one. All right, so now we're asking our hips to move, to lift your leg up in front of you, right? The muscles in the front of the hip. And lift. So I'm alternating legs. Again, you could hold on for some support, or you could be just doing this in the center of your room somewhere. Lift. And as you're doing this move, right, simple knee to chest, you're noticing where you're feeling it or what you're feeling in your body. Is it easy to balance? Can you lift your knee right up towards your chest? Right? Do you need to sort of be leaning back, or can you be more upright? I think the top of your head is reaching up towards the ceiling. as you do these lifts, I'll do 2 more on each leg. Lift and lift, lift. Okay. And pause for a moment. It's always nice to pause and check in with how you're feeling, right? Did that feel okay? Did it not feel okay? And this again will be on one leg. Now again, maybe you're holding on. Press down into one foot, let the other leg lift, and we're going to swing one leg backwards and forwards. All right, so you can start by holding on. If it feels okay to let go, you could let your arms do a little bit of a contralateral move, right? So if my right leg is going forward, my left arm is coming forward. What sort of movement do I have backwards and forwards here? Right, front and back. Or the hip flexion and hip extension. Right. Do you feel balanced when you're doing that, or do you feel like you're going all over the place? Let's do a couple more. And then let that foot come back down. And I'll switch legs. I'll do the same thing on the other one. So I'm just going to let my leg swing. So as I'm doing this, I really need to press down to my standing foot. So my other leg has that room to move, right? To get that swing backwards and forwards. I'm keeping both of my legs straight. Otherwise, you might have to bend your knee. Again, I'm letting my arm swing, or you could just be holding on to a chair. Let's do a few more of these on this leg. Compare. What does your left leg feel like compared to your right leg? Is one easier to move than the other? 2 more here. Okay, and then I'm going to pause, both feet back down on the mat, and just check in. I'm going to come back to those hips, right? Get my fingertips here, and I'm going to do a hinge. So all I'm going to do is push my hips back so my body tilts forward. I'm trying to get my bottom to push backwards. See how my bottom is not over my feet anymore. I'm going to stand up and my bottom moves back up over my feet, right? My pelvis. Push back. So you're hinging forward from your hips, and then you're standing back upright. This hinge action is important to get that kind of movement happening. Just for another varied movement, right? A lot of us are more like round through the spine. It's nice to have some options available to us. So we've got the hinge and the rounding. Let's go 2 more of these. And you can do these super slowly. I'm doing them relatively quickly. Last one. And now we're going to add a knee bend into it, making it a little bit of a squat or a big squat. So bend your knees as well. Your hips are going back in that hinge. I'm going to reach my arms forward for a bit of counterbalance. And then I'm going to stand back upright. Now, again, you could hold on to your chair or something else, right? You're going to hinge back and then come back up. Right? Hinge and come on upright. And hinge and up you go, right? Or your arms are just reaching out for a counterbalance. I'm going to do 3 more. But on the 3rd one, I'm going to stay down there in that squat-ish position. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to stay. Right, my hips are going back. Notice where my knees are now. They're kind of over my feet. I'm going to try and stay in this hinge with my hips and then move my knees forward and then move them back. Right, moving forward again. You can hold on or not, moving back. See how I'm staying low with my hips? Right, so I'm moving through my ankles, my knees and my hips. I'm kind of moving forward in space and I'm moving back. Let's try 3 more here. Right, anytime if we're overdoing it, you can stop. You can come on upright. Is that 2? Let's go 1 more. Forward. I'm trying to keep my heels down. Sorry, I should have said that. And then up all the way. Whoa, a little bit of work through the quads. Okay, now back to the hips. We're going to use the outer hips, and we're doing this without a tool. If you've been with me before, I do it quite often on a block, but today we're doing it without, just on the floor. So your legs are straight, you're upright. Shift your weight back onto your heels a little bit more, and then press down into one foot. Push down to let the other leg lift up and lower. Right. So with your outer hip, right, I'm on my left leg. I'm going to press down. Right, my hip goes down towards the floor. And then it will release. This is all done via now my left leg, the leg that's standing. Both of my legs are straight. It's called the hip list or a pelvic list, and it's targeting the outer hip muscles. All right, now this can be really, really strong if you haven't done this before or a lot. So you might just want to do a few. I've been doing this literally for years, so I can do quite a lot of them. But rest any time or switch over legs. I'll do 2 more on this one. Lift and lower, and lift and lower, and pause. And then I'm going to switch my legs over. Right, so I'll just turn sideways. So see how my legs stay straight? Both legs are straight, and I'm just going to press down into my right leg and release it, right? The hip goes down and it releases. See, I'm staying straight on that leg. My other leg, it lifts and lowers. It's still, whoops, hard to balance, still remains straight as I'm using my standing leg to do this movement. Lift and lower, lift and lower. Okay, remember, right, you might be doing just a few of them. You might be doing a lot of them. It doesn't matter. You could be switching from one leg to the other. Let's do 3 more. And 2. And last one. And lower and pause. Have a little bit of a walk around, right? That list that we were just doing is an important part of the gait cycle of walking around, because you're on one leg and then the other, right? We're shifting from foot to foot. And then when we're walking, the hip needs to be able to work so the other leg can actually come through. It can get off the ground. So a little bit of a walk, and then we'll do a quick stretch. So either continue walking if you're ready to go, or if you have already a rolled up something, like I've got this little fleece blanket that's rolled up, or if you have a dome, anything, it can be a block, something, and we're going to just do a simple calf stretch. Right, which is stretching the calf, but again, it'll work all the way up into the hip. So we're standing upright with our legs straight, weight back a little bit, and then one foot, the ball of your foot, the top of it, will come up high onto your dome, your rolled up mat, whatever you have, your heel is on the floor, your legs remain straight. This leg, the foot that's on the dome, is my stretching leg. It stays straight. If I'm not feeling anything here, I only need to step my other foot further forward, as far enough forward as then I feel something in the stretching leg. And that for me is about here. You might have your foot further forward. Your other foot, right, might be further back. Your aim is to remain upright with your body. Again, it's an important part of walking, trying to remain upright while the front of the foot is able to lift and move. We want it to be in all the ways, right? Pointing up, pointing down, not right up to the ceiling. Right? I'm planning on holding this for around about a minute. And with all that talking, that was probably already around about a minute. So let me just switch over legs. Right, so same thing with my other foot. Again, I'm upright, my legs are straight. I'll get my right foot, the toes, the ball of the foot is up higher, my heel is on the floor. Right, now this dome is relatively high. It might just be a tiny little lift that you want. If you're rolling up a towel, maybe just roll it up 1 or 2 times and you're not up as high. That's so fun with some of my clients. Something like this would be way too high for them to have their toes on. So you just make it smaller. It could be on a block, it could be on a book that you're stepping on. You can experiment with that, with where it feels right for you. Okay, let me give it, say, 10 more seconds holding it here. And this is something you can come back to throughout the day. You could come in and remember or think about, come into a room and go, oh, that's something I haven't done today. Let's give it a go. You can do it a number of times. Don't have to limit this to just once a day. All right, that's probably a good minute. Let's step off there. Now we're going to make our way down onto the floor, onto our belly. So come on down there as best you can. And like I said, if it's not okay for you, you're going to come and sit yourself down on a chair. So come on down all the way And some of the chair moves will be a bit different because it's a little bit hard to initiate from the belly. So I'm going to, while you're getting down onto the floor, those of you who are coming down onto the floor, I'll just start here. See if you can maybe sit at the front of the chair, and then maybe you have to lean back. You're going to come into a position that feels okay for you. And all you're going to do is try and bring your foot towards your bottom. So maybe lift the foot up off the floor and just pull it in. It's going to go like that, something like that movement. Lift up, foot towards your bottom. That's your action here on the chair. Right, so if we're down on our belly, going to come on down all the way. You might choose to make a pillow with your hands. You could let your head just rest, your forehead rest on your hands. My hands are stacked one on top of each other. You could also find a pillow or something that's comfortable for you. It might be that you have to have your head to the side. I'm keeping my head lifted so you can hear me. But I'm going to do that kind of action we were doing seated, lying down. Can you maybe feel your pubic bone making contact with the mat, the front of your pelvis, and just try and kick your bottom a few times, right? You're just trying to kick. One foot is flexed, it's bent, the knee is bent, and your foot is pulling in towards your bottom just with your leg strength, right? So we're getting into the hamstrings here a bit. The back of the leg, do that a number of times, and then reach that leg back out again, and then we'll switch on over with your other leg, right? Kick. Notice how is your right leg compared to your left leg? Is one easier to do? I'm noticing that my foot is rotating across my body here. I'm trying to bring my foot directly to my hip without my leg turning, which is what it wants to do. And then I'm going to release that and pause a moment. Now I'm going to come back to my first foot. I'm going to flex my toes again. So my toes are pulling down towards the floor. Now I'm going to try and rotate. So I'm rolling my foot out to one side and then across my body the other way. And I'm not sure you can see it. So maybe I can turn with my feet towards you. Oops, I'm running out of space. Right, my foot goes out one way and then it goes across my body. So my aim here is to let my thigh bone turn inwardly and outwardly, right? So if you're seated, keep going if you're on your belly. If you're seated, you can be more upright here, or again, lay back if that's better for you. You're rolling, still flex your toes, rolling your whole knee out to one side and then the other way, right? We're wanting the thigh bone to move around in your hip socket. If you're on your belly, switch legs now, right? Because you've done a few of them on one side. Do a couple more if you're seated. And then if you're seated, switch. And then we'll get the other leg happening right here, rolling one way. Kicking that out of the way. One way. Socks are blending in with my blanket. All right. And again, compare. Is one side easier to move, right? Your entire leg is rotating in and out and in and out. Maybe two more. Right. And if again, let me just reiterate, if I've done too many on the one leg, switch over more regularly or rest. Okay, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to have a little bit of a wiggle. And then I'm going to do the same thing with both legs at the same time. Just roll them both together. Now my pelvis, can you see? Hopefully you can see that a bit. My pelvis is actually twisting as well. Just a few times. If you're seated, do the same thing with both legs that you've already done with one. All right, and then release. Now we're going to try and do what we call hip extension. That's when the leg lifts up behind you. So I'm going to bend one knee again, right? Flex my toes down towards the floor, trying to keep my pubic bone on the mat, and then I'm going to push my foot up towards the ceiling. Can you see my thigh is lifting off the floor and lower back down, right? So I'm lifting and lowering. I'm pushing up and lowering back down, right? Keep going, try that. And here it's going to be a little bit more challenging on your seat. A couple of ways you could be leaning back and trying to push your foot back this way, or maybe you're more off to the side of your chair and your leg comes off to the side and you can push back this way if it's possible, holding on, or leaning back is harder. Upright would be more beneficial. Or if that's totally too awkward, if you're seated, standing up and maybe just pushing back like this, right? So that is a great option. See if one of those options will be helpful for you. If you're on your belly, switch legs. And if you're standing, do a few on the side that you've just found the option that's right for you, and then switch legs. All right, so other leg. Can you see how it's just my leg lifting up, right? If my pelvis were to lift, right, I'd sort of be rolling onto the side. I'm trying for that not to happen. So I can just use the muscles in the back of the hip here to lift and lower and lift and lower. Oh, let's do a few more of these. 3, 2, and 1. If you're seated, you might want a little bit longer to do your other leg. Rest. You might want to roll again from side to side. Pause. Now, can we use that going from side to side as a tool to turn us all the way over onto our backs? So I can roll on over any which way you can get there. Come on, seated upright if you're in your chair. And then from here, you're going to have your feet standing on the mat with your knees up to the ceiling. And now we're just going to move our pelvis again. Remember when we were standing, we started that way. So we're just going to try and tilt the pelvis backwards. The pubic bone comes towards your belly button, and then tilt it forward. It's going to roll away. All right, so we're going backwards and forward and backwards and forward. Right, so if you're seated, it's the same action. You're up on your sitting bones. You can hold onto your legs. You're rolling off your sitting bones, and you're rolling back up on top of them. Rolling back and rolling up. Right, do a couple more of those. All right, now I'll show, since I'm seated already, we'll keep going. All right, maybe you can keep rolling all the way back. You might even touch the back of your chair, and you're going to come back up, right up on top of your sitting bones, nice and tall. Roll on back and roll on up. If you're lying down on your mat, you're going to go, pelvis tilts backwards, you're going to lift up off the floor. So it's the opposite way to seated, but it's this movement through the spine, right? Lifting up through your hips and then rolling back down. And we'll do that again. Roll on up and roll back down. Let's just do, say, 3 more of these, right? Whether you're seated, whether you're lying down. You can do these really fast. You can do them super slowly. You might only do 1 more rather than the 3. You can have a rest. What's really common here, if you're experiencing this, is cramping, right? In the backs of the legs, in your hamstrings. I didn't say that when we were lying on our bellies and doing that too. Very, very common, right? So if that's happening to you, don't be too concerned. Your body's just not used to the movement. You can build up strength over time. I believe that was my 3rd one. I'm going to stay there. I'm going to take my feet wider apart from each other. If you're on a mat, probably about as wide as your mat, and then just roll your knees from side to side. Right? We were doing this lying on our belly. Now we're doing it lying on our backs. If you're on your seat, you've already done this before. Take your feet wider and just roll your knees. Same action, but you're sitting upright. If you're sitting up, this might not be as big a range. And again, that's okay, right? We're doing what we can. Let me go 2 more times each way. Last one, 1. And then the other. Okay, and then from here, I'm going to stay in this position and I'm going to do what we call a number 4 stretch. So I'm going to take an ankle. This is my right ankle. It's crossing over my left knee. This is a wonderful stretch for a lot of people. You just stay here in this position. You don't have to go any further, right? If you're feeling like that this is okay and you want to go further from here, all you need to do is lift your other foot off the floor. You're drawing your legs in towards you. Now, this is my right ankle over my left knee, so my right hand is going to go in between my legs, and my left hand will go around the outside And I'm holding on behind my knee. You can hold on behind your thigh, wherever you can hold on, and you might be able to draw your knee more in towards you. So it'll either be holding on with your arms or your foot is down on the mat. If you are in a chair, it is the same position, right? Foot, your ankle is over your knee. You might need to be way back here to get your leg into this position. You might just want to hang like this, or you may be able to lift yourself into a more upright position, right, which can cause more of a center stretch. You might even be able to lean forward, right? So there's so many different degrees where you are, right? Could be way back here. Could be like a super stretch for you. This might be more for you, or somewhere in between. Okay. So you have the option on the chair or here on the floor. Right. If you're here on the floor, right, whether your foot is up or down, you're going to roll on over to one side, roll all the way over. I'm undoing my arms if you have your arms, and you can just reach one arm out and twist and maybe turn to the side. If you're in your chair, you might just want to stay where you are and just hold that a little bit longer. It's going to be, hopefully, it's going to feel good either way. It might just feel really awkward. I'm just going to come on out of there and I'm going to switch on over. So I'm now going to put my right foot down, cross my left ankle over my right knee, let my knee just roll out to the side. That's it. If you're seated, switch over legs. And then if you're here, now it might be very different on this side. You can stay there, you can lift your foot up, you can grab holds, right? So here's my left arm is going through the middle of my legs, sort of rolling over so you can kind of see that. My right hand's on the outside, right? It might be down here. I've got a bit of movement so I can comfortably hold on behind my knee. That could be impossible for some of you, and that's fine, right? Here, here. You could even get a strap or something and pop it behind your thigh. Let's hold it a little bit longer. Okay. If you're inclined, if you like the idea of adding that twist when you're on your back, you can roll over. So yeah, I'm just rolling everything over to my right side now. My left arm's just going to reach on out. I've undone my arm. I've extricated my arm from in between my legs. I'm just finding the twist for a little bit. Again, if you're seated, maybe play with a different seated position, maybe more upright or maybe more slump back into your seat. Okay, all right, so I'm going to unravel here and I'm just going to come on up into a hands and knees position. Now, I like to rock and roll backwards and forwards to get there. It might be better for you to roll on over to one side and press yourself up onto your hands and knees. Okay, so an option here would be, if you're seated, to maybe come to standing and hold on to your seat. We're going to just sort of move out through our legs a little bit. If that's not okay, sit up and we'll just sort of try and move our legs behind us again from a seated position. So again, because I can't see you, so hopefully you can find a way that you can move your hips this way. We won't be here too long. So if you have issues with your hands, your wrists or your knees, you can either find some more padding underneath your knees or your hands. Again, we won't be here too long. The knees might be an issue though, you want some padding there. Okay. I'm going to just reach a leg on out behind me, have my toes down to the floor, try and press down through the leg so my hips are level with each other, right? What I'm going to do is lift my leg up and then tap it back down, right? Lift up and tap down and lift, right? Another alternative would be to have your forearms on the mat if it's too much for your wrists, and lower. Just to kind of use the back of the hip again. A few times, lift and lower. I wish I started counting. I've got no idea how many I've done. So I'm just going to do two more. Lift and lower and lift and lower. And then I'm going to switch legs. Right, the same on the other side. So I'm reaching back with my toes down on the floor to start off with, and I'm going to lift and lower, right, lifting my leg. And your leg can be quite heavy, right, in this position. Lift, lower, lift. Okay, let's go. 3 more of these, and 2. And 1. All right, I just wanted to have a little play with the hip there before we come into a lunge, which is next. Step 1 foot forward and then see if you can lift yourself up into this kneeling position. Now, again, there's a lot of pressure on that knee, right? You could get your blanket, your mat rolled up, anything, and pop it underneath that knee for a little bit more padding and support. I'm upright like this. That's the ideal way to be. You could be, again, supporting yourself with a chair. You could be holding onto it, but it doesn't have to be a balance challenge. Our aim now is to be upright in our body, tuck the pelvis under, so your tail comes under. I think your pubic bone comes towards your belly button, right? And we're just going to just sort of move forward and backwards here a little bit. Now, at the moment, I'm trying to have my foot go directly back behind me. So I'm just taking a little lean forward and backwards and forward and backwards. So again, like if you're seated, the best you can, sitting up, approximating this position. So you're sitting down and the legs pushing back. Remember, we were there before. Right. Or maybe if you're sitting, all we want to do is try to find some movement in the pelvis. That could also be quite beneficial, just trying to tuck under and go forward from there. Which knee was down? This one. All right, so once we've done that a few times, we're going to try and stay upright. Now, this back leg, the knee that you're on, we're going to try and move your lower leg. I'm going to try and take it out to the side. Let me show you that from this direction, right? I've started. At the moment, you can't see my lower leg, my left foot. I'm going to take it out. So now you can see my foot. So I'm rotating my thigh bone internally. Whoa. I'm trying to stay upright and then just maybe move a little bit forward and backwards. Right, so now my hip, the front of my hip, some different tissues are being affected. I'm just going to fall over. I want to hold on, right, forward. It's not a huge movement, right, but I'm turning my leg. My whole leg is just rotating a little bit inwardly towards my body. I'm going to try going the other way. So now, can you see my foot coming across? So my whole thigh bone is moving outwardly. I'm still trying to keep my pelvis facing forward. And I'm just going to go a little bit forward and backward movement. Right? It's not a huge move. Right? My whole body is upright and it's going forward. Oh, and that's, I can really feel that on my knee a bit. Right? You might just want to hold it. You might not want to move at all. I'm just having a play. It can be done a lot of different ways, with movement, without movement, just holding, trying to pull the legs in towards one another. Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's a lot of pressure on my knee. I'm going to come back to now. See, I'm hiding my foot behind me, so it's directly back behind me. I'm just going to hold it here by trying to curl my tail under. Let me show you that from the side again. My tail's curled under, and I'm just trying to pull my legs in like they're trying to scissor in towards each other. And let's release it. Let's switch over sides. So now it's my right knee down, my left foot's coming forward. I'm upright with my body. I'm trying to first tuck my tail under. Let's maybe just move that a little bit. So if you're seated, this type of action you're looking for in your pelvis. Right, end up with it tucked under, and then I'm just going to move a little bit forward and backwards. Right, what happens often is sort of this, the body can lean forward and kind of go all over the place. If I try to keep my body upright, again, how we hold our body, how we hold our legs, right? will just affect the tissues in the front of the hip here a different way. And we want to affect them all the ways, right? We want to move them as many different ways as we can. Okay, great. So that's like that. That's with my leg straight out. I'm going to now move my foot so it comes more out to the right side. And it could be the tiniest little move. I'm trying to take my foot quite a way out purely for demonstration purposes. Right, my hips, I'm still trying to face forward. See how unbalanced I am, right, trying to do that. Again, you don't even have to move. You can just think, I'm just going to hold this position for a little bit. I'm finding a little kind of sway forward and back. Right, a couple more here, right, with my lower leg swinging out to my right side. That's my right leg. I'll bring it back in line, and I'll move it now across my body. See, it's further away from the camera now. I'm still facing forward with my body, and maybe a bit of movement, maybe not, maybe just a pure hold. A few more here. 2, 1. Okay, great. Let's come on back to both knees down on the floor. I'm going to bring my hands down, and I'm just going to go back into what we call a child's pose. Now that's okay for me. That might not be okay for you. I'm just like sitting on back. So it might be that you're more here and maybe your hands want to reach out in front of you instead. But I'm taking my bottom towards my feet, reaching back through my tail. Just hold that. A couple of breaths. If you're seated in a chair, maybe just leaning forward over your legs, dropping your head down in between your knees there. And then coming on back. Let's come on up to standing. Now, if it's okay here, maybe you can lift your knees up off the mat here, and you're in this V shape, inverted V. Right? It's like a down dog in yoga. It's like, what is it like? It's an up stretch in Pilates. Right? If you've got things in the way, move them. Walk your feet forward, or your hands back, or any way. You're going to come up however you can. Just going to roll on up to standing. And then we're going to do this little kind of walk on the spot. We're just going to bend one knee and then the other. All right, so one leg straightens, one leg bends. Possible. I'm going to turn the chair around again. All right, so this is the action. One leg's bending, one leg is straightening. I'm actually lifting. You can lift the heel, you can kick them down. All right, so that's going to be the movement. But we're going to put our hands now on the chair. Remember I said earlier, either on the chair or on a cupboard, a table, something that you have handy. Hopefully you have something handy. Right, we're doing that again. Right, now both heels are down. One leg is straight or straight-ish. The other leg is bent. I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch. Now you might be super flexy. You can have your hands down on the floor, right? We do this in yoga with hands on blocks or down on the floor, right, wherever you are. Right, and it might be a sense of stretch, the straighter leg, right? Maybe a little stretch on the outer hip. If you want to add an arm in, right, the leg that's going straighter, you could lift that side arm up to the center. As my right leg going straighter, I'm going to reach my right arm on up. And I'm going to switch. Take my left arm on up. And you can do this slowly, or you can do it faster. Again, your leg does not have to go straight. Right, mine is. Because again, I've literally been doing this for years. Right, I've got my hands on the chair. All right, now, one more each way. I'm just going to do a floppy forward bend. Right, so just going to sort of flop forward, let my upper body hang. Right, it might be here somewhere, down here somewhere. And then come on up. Now I've got one more. remember this hip lift that we did earlier, standing on one foot and the other leg is lifted. We're going to use the principle of that with my hands down. So I'm going to press down into one foot. The other foot's going to slide on back. It can be lifted right up off the mat. It can be down here on the floor. You're going to push down, right? So this is my left foot is in front, my right foot's out behind me. I'm going to press down through my left leg. I'm going to keep this leg straight, and I'm going to try and rotate my hip. So I'm turning my body to the right, and then I'm going to lower back down again. Right, so I'm lifting up, my right hip is lifting up, my body's turning to the right side, and then it's going to turn back to face the floor. Right, it's going to lift on up and lower. So now there's a lot of weight on my left hip to rotate my right hip up and then back down again. And again, I might be doing too many repetitions. I'm going to do 2 more. If this is too much, stop, rest, or switch legs earlier and switch them a number of times. Last one. And lower down, and then I'm going to switch over legs. Right, you might want to check in a bit first. So it's my right foot down, my left leg's going to reach out. I'm just showing you from behind now. So I'm going to press down, and I'm going to let my left hip raise up towards the ceiling, and then my hip lowers down, it reaches towards the floor. Right, my left hip's going to lift up, reaching up towards the ceiling, and then back down towards the floor. Right, hopefully I've shown you a couple of different angles. Oh, I could show you my bottom, right? Okay, so it's like lift and lower, right? And lift and lower, right? That is the action. Maybe 2 more. Like I said, that can be a lot. But again, I've been doing things for years. Right? Sometimes we try these new movements and we get frustrated and give up, and I totally understand that. But even if you do the tiniest move right now, right, over time, right, the body will adapt to that and it will get better. And hopefully, right, not 100% of the time, but for a lot of us, right, it will improve and you'll be able to do those moves with more ease and maybe greater ranges of motion. Right, maybe have a little walk around again. See how your hips feel after those moves. Like I said, right, simple moves, not necessarily easy. Right, they're done over time. So they're layered and layered. Your body works out what to do, how to do them, and then they can build onto it over time. All right, take a moment, see how you feel. I'm going to come in back in closer to the camera and leave myself open for any questions. I'll just make it gallery view again. All right, so there's me and lots of names on the screen that I'm just sort of scrolling through to see. No, nobody has put any questions in the chat box. Does anyone have anything that they would like to ask me or make any comments about the class or the movement or how your hips are feeling right now, if you feel that's of benefit, or if there's something else that you would prefer to do, or you really hated something, feel free to unmute yourselves. Maybe you're not able to unmute yourself, I don't know. Let me know. No. All right, well, I'm going to share my screen again to do my final slide. So feel free to, you can interrupt me, or at the end of my sharing, you can let me know if you can think about something, or if you do think of something in the meantime while I'm just going through the finishing slides here. So I want to thank everybody for joining me in class. That's this morning my time. It could be your evening, could be your afternoon, sometime during your day, could be right in the middle of the night. All right, but thank you so much whenever you have taken the time to do this class. If you are on social media, we'd love it if you shared your experiences. You can use the hashtag or the @ symbol and with Get Set Up after that in your social media posts. You could also send a story, and you could email a story to the lovely Liz at getsetup.io, who likes to blog about our experiences here. Right, so I have a class on every day. I actually have a class on my time this afternoon today, which is a, what's it called? Simple Strength moves this afternoon. But I do know that for a lot of you is like 2 a.m., 1 a.m. or whatever your time. So that might not be the best time for you. But anyway, if you are a night owl, that might be something you want to consider. But there are loads and loads and loads of different fitness classes on Get Set Up. I'm sure you can find something that will suit you. So just have a look in the schedule for something that works for you. Right, I'll also send you some quick class notes after class with some class suggestions for you that you might want to look at. And we'd also love it if you could use the class notes to possibly recommend the class to a friend. And there's some links that you'll find there for Facebook, for email. Also, there's a WhatsApp group. And we'd also love your feedback. So if you'd like to share any feedback about classes, please do that as well. All right. When you do register the class, you'll be asked to invite a friend, and these examples on the screen are here on the desktop on the left. On your mobile device, you'll also be prompted to invite a friend. All you need to do is click a button and you'll be given a link that you can pass on to someone. It's more fun to either do it with a friend at the time, or maybe you can have a chat about your experiences after you finish the class. You've got something in common to talk about and explore with a friend. It's always fun to do it that way. All right, and finally, Get Set Up community. We'd love it if you could share the classes, what you're doing here with your community. If you have any groups that you're a member of, let them know about it. We'd like to get more people in and into the classes that we have here. Hopefully it benefits you, and we could benefit so many more people who are out there and unaware that we exist so far. You could also suggest a class. If you have an idea for a class that appeals to you, let us know about that, and we may be able to sort something out for you with regards to a new class. If you're interested in hosting an interest group, please let us know about that, right? We're looking for new guides all the time, and we'd love to have you on this side of the camera. And then finally, once again, if you enjoyed the class, you can request a recording of this session. And for all of that or any other questions that you may have, all you need to do is email help@getsetup.io and somebody will get back to you shortly. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. Let's see, hang on, I've got some things now. People have to leave. Yes, thank you so much for joining me. Oh, Todd, the TA, has to go. He's got another one to do. So I'll thank him.
Thank you.
Doris, can really feel the difference. Hips are loose and relaxed. Thank you, Doris. Thank you so much. I may see you later on. Oh, Doris is a night owl. So Denise, good to see you there. Thank you. Hopefully you're rubbing your legs because they feel so good. Okay. And everyone else is still on the call. I really appreciate you being here. Again, still got some time if you have any questions you want to ask. Or if not, that's it. All right. I'm running out of things to say. I've got a couple of minutes and I am all out of things to talk. Hang on. So we've got Doris. Yeah, I've already mentioned Doris. Okay. So thank you. All right. On that note, oh, look, there's that beautiful dog again. Denise. Love him or her. So cuddly. My dog is not a cuddler, and I really don't like that about him. But anyway. I'll pick him up and show him over the balcony daily, and that way I get my cuddles. So yeah, oh, what a cutie. Adorable. All right. Okay. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to sign off now. Otherwise, I will just be blabbering on about nothing. So thanks again. And I hope to see you all again soon. So have a wonderful day or evening, wherever you are. Take care. Bye.